A farmer named John spent most of his life working on his family farm. He loved every aspect of it, from tending to the soil to raising livestock. But one day, something happened that made him scream like never before. It was a typical morning on the farm when John went to check on the cows in the pasture. He noticed that one of the cows, a beautiful brown and white spotted creature, looked particularly awkward. John had seen this before and knew what it meant. The cow was going into labor. Even though he'd witnessed the birth of many calves over the years, John still felt rather worried during the process. He watched as the cow struggled, pushing and straining with all of her might. John held his breath, waiting for the arrival of the calf. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the calf emerged. But it was no ordinary calf. As soon as John saw it, he let out a blood-curdling scream that echoed throughout the farm. The calf was unlike any he had ever seen. Instead of a tail, it had a long, thin appendage resembling a tentacle. And its eyes were unlike anything John had ever seen before. They shone with a bright, almost celestial blue light and seemed to be peering deep into his soul. The calf's beautiful black and white coat had a pattern that resembled the number 7, which was rather unsettling. It was as if it was supposed to mean something. John couldn't believe what he was seeing. He recoiled, almost falling back in shock. Meanwhile, the cow seemed unfazed by the calf's peculiarities. She licked it affectionately, as if it were a perfectly normal calf. Thoughts raced through John's mind as he tried to make sense of what he had witnessed. He wondered if he was dreaming or going mad. He rubbed his eyes, hoping that when he opened them again, the calf would be gone, and everything would return to normal. But no, the calf was still there, staring at him with its intense blue eyes. John's heart was racing, and his thoughts were in disarray. He couldn't even find the words, let alone think about what to do next. It was only when his wife came out to the pasture to see what all the commotion was about that John snapped out of his daze. He pointed at the calf, stuttering, trying to explain what he had seen. His wife was always very down to earth. She looked at the calf and burst into laughter. "John," she said, "you've seen many calves born on this farm, and they've all been perfectly normal. Take care of this one just like any other animal on this farm." Thanks to his wife's encouraging words, John finally managed to calm down. He realized that despite the strange appearance, the calf was healthy and full of life, and that was all that mattered. In the following weeks, the calf grew stronger and more agile, and John found himself growing more attached to it. He even named it Blue because of its mesmerizing eyes. Though he still couldn't believe that such a peculiar creature was born on his farm, he knew he had to take care of it. As Blue grew older, John noticed that it was no ordinary calf. It was incredibly intelligent and was learning new things at an astonishing pace. It seemed to understand everything John said and often responded in its own way. John couldn't help but feel a sense of pride for his strange little creature. However, no matter how much John loved Blue, he couldn't shake off a sense of unease whenever he looked at it. He was also worried about the number 7 on the calf's head. He knew that other people would find Blue as strange and unsettling as he did when he first laid eyes on him. He feared that people would think he was crazy or that the calf was some unnatural abomination. Despite his concerns, John continued to care for Blue, treating it like any other animal on his farm. But as months went by, he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. He became increasingly obsessed with Blue, spending all of his time with the calf and neglecting his other responsibilities. One day, on May 7th, 2007, John's wife found him in the barn, huddled next to Blue, whispering something to it in a language she couldn't understand. She tried to talk to John, but he seemed completely consumed by his obsession with the calf. He didn't even seem to recognize her. Worried and frightened, John's wife called for help. In the end, John was taken to a hospital, where he was diagnosed with a severe mental illness. His encounter with Blue, the strange calf, had triggered something within him, causing him to become delusional and obsessed. John never returned to his farm. He spent the rest of his life in a psychiatric hospital, haunted by the memories of the strange calf that took over his life. The number 7 on the calf's head was a mystical foreshadowing for John, indicating the day when he would lose his sanity. Perhaps selling the animal would have been the best choice, but instead, John devoted all of his free time to the calf, as if it were something greater or more unusual than a regular animal. In any case, this story is strange with a hint of mysticism, but anything can happen in this life.